In this episode of On Doers, we talk to Aaron Draplin of Draplin Design Company. If you know Draplin, you already love him. If you don't, you will soon. You could say he's just a graphic designer from Portland, Oregon, but he's so much more. He's one of America's great designers, and the man behind the Field Notes books and so many other iconic marks. We talked at the Switchyards Downtown Club in Atlanta, Georgia.
6,000 words, 256 pages.
So we might as well just use the book as kind of an outline for what we're going to talk about tonight. So a few things about Aaron before we start the book. The week we opened, we were thinking, who can we get here to Switchyards that really sets the tone for what we're trying to do? And the first person 10 seconds into this conversation was, we got to get Draplin to come to Atlanta. He's based in Portland, which is the opposite side of the country, opposite corner of the country. And it was no question that Aaron Draplin was the right guy to get the week we opened to kind of set the tone. And so one of the best moments for me of Switchyards was the first week that we opened, seeing Aaron Draplin kind of doing his spiel 2 straight nights at Switchyards. And so the idea now that he's stopping through on his book tour and he shoots us a note and says, hey, I'm stopping through Atlanta, I'll do a night at Switchyards is pretty cool. So we're honored to have him tonight. So let's get into the book. How'd this thing come about?
Well, I got a call. I got a call from a guy named John Gall, which is Abrams Books in New York City. Now, I've had a couple other calls, but those calls were like, there was like a shitty logo attached to the publisher or something, and that says a lot about a company or a book company or whatever, because if they can't get the logo right, how are they going to go through and have good content and roll the dice on a cool cover, embossing or something? So there were other people, but they were, in the spirit of, hey, we don't need a big company to do this. We already have, we'll just go print this thing ourselves. And that's cool sometimes to be an indie band, but I don't know, it just surprised me to get the call. When you get the call from Abrams Books, they're a reputable thing, and it's the big leagues. And I just kind of couldn't say no. And John just said, listen, I've been watching you for a while, and I like what you've got going on, but why haven't you done something? And it was like, because I've really only been working since about 96 or something, right? Like it's when I got my first computer. So that's just one phone call, and my first inclination was to say, I don't know if I'm the guy for it, because, I get to go backstage now at these big shows and shit, and I've met all the big names, and sometimes you'll hear people talking about their book and how it's not selling, or how they couldn't get this done or that done, or they're going to make this book as if they were sort of like, I made the book because that shit wasn't supposed to happen. Neither was my career. That's why the book's cool. And these guys who talk about it in this sort of strategy business plan, that's just freaky to me, because it just, there's the spontaneous quality or the weird quality of it is stripped out, kind of. So I listen to that stuff. I listen to people, and I'm backstage watching, and then you see the book come out 8 months later, and the thing's boring as shit. So I really, kind of like put that on ice and said, if they ever call, I'm going to know how to attack this, And that's just where it came. That was November of 2014, and then we signed the contract March of 2015, and I started building it last summer. So, last summer, yeah. And it was, it was printed, came out this year, May 17th, so, but yeah.
So, just quickly, let me read my favorite paragraph in the book.
All right.
I've never done a public reading like this, so everyone be quiet.
Like while you're fighting that shit, let me just say, when I'm up talking in front of people, I have a big PDF, that's sort of like a roadmap, and it's like, so just understand that, like, this is weird because I don't know what he's going to ask me, and also understand that I am really upside down. I'm on the edge of tears because of that fucker last week and stealing it like they did. And I'm serious. Like, it's hard to want to go through email. It's hard to be excited about graphic design. It's hard to call my mom. My mom was a volunteer for Mr. Obama and for Hillary. It's hard to call my 72-year-old mom. And I want, just selfishly, my mom to see a woman get voted, become the president, right? That was a hard conversation. So, I'm upside down up here. So if I sound a little weird or pausy or sort of, this thing's wrong or whatever, it's just kind of weird here. So there you go. There's a little disclaimer. Okay, go.
So he doesn't know what I'm asking him next, and I'm drinking red wine out of Draplin's mug that we gave him. I think he might have been like the 4th ever member of Switchyards, and he doesn't even drink coffee. So since he doesn't use the mug,
so much work. You got to lift it and hold it and all that shit. Stand in line, for it. Yeah. Sorry.
All right, so this is my favorite paragraph in the book. This is the only thing I'm going to read in the book, but I like this paragraph. My proudest paragraph to date. I tried to build a life and design my own way. Can you make a career out of something on your own terms? I think you can. And yet, I still fear this stuff. That was pounded into me from a young age. No matter how good things seem to be, it's up to you to keep it all going. I'm always freaked out when I take my eye off the ball, which is irrational. My little thing has momentum. I know it'll keep chugging along. But then again, a little part of me feels so insanely entitled to write that out and will never take my teeny nugget of success for granted. I made this stuff my life. When something is your hobby first, the work part never feels the same. I love making this stuff, and I'm hoping that'll never change. I've been lucky to pull off a killer little life in design. Let this goddamn book be proof. Facts are stubborn things. So, what I think is most
good writer.
I wanted to do a story arc on your life and how you.
Right.
A quick story about Draplin. The week we opened, we had the mayor, Kasim Reed, here, and then we had this guy Charles Brewer who started Mindspring, which merged with Earthlink. And I tell the story all the time. You were the guy with people, with the cult following. Those guys, it was like, that's an interesting story.
All according to plan.
So, how the hell does this happen? So this is kind of your youth. Some great Olin Mills photos. Just tell, were you an artistic, creative kid growing up?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up.
What were you like growing up?
Oh, I had a little beard, and I was cherubic, and I don't know. I played baseball. I played football. I rode bikes. I played in the woods. I was thrown in a creek a couple times. I threw a couple people in the creek. What else? I don't know. We would go up in the woods and build forts and shit. I grew up in a small town in northern Michigan, 800 people. But when you get to about 13 is when you start to see California culture, and it was skateboarding and punk rock music and colorful graphics and things. And I remember Ocean Pacific. Remember those Ocean? How old are you?
OP.
Yeah, how old are you?
37.
Okay, yeah, you remember that shit. If you're 22, you wouldn't know what that is, I mean, I don't know what you guys got, fucking Blues Clues or something, while you 21-year-olds. That's fun, right? Whatever. Well, when you're a little kid in that town, it was, I don't know, in the small town I grew up in, it wasn't going to be okay to be the weirdo. I tried to be class president. I tried all the shit that you're pushed into. I tried to be on a sports team, and it was, it just wasn't for me, And my parents, I think they saw that in us, but as a kid, I loved to draw. I loved Legos, Star Wars figures, and Hot Wheels, and all the shit a kid. I had a cool dad, and a really cool mom, and my dad was really creative. My mom was really creative, and we didn't have a lot. I mean, that's one thing that we kind of maybe talked about in the book, but I never really knew it. I just knew that we had a family. We had fucking pizza Fridays and shit, and I mean all the things families have, and Catholic Church, oh God, catechism and shit. I don't know, growing up, but I've been drawing my whole life. That goes all the way back to 4 and 3 and 5 years old. That goes all the way back. So I would make my own logos and things and stuff growing up, and I just didn't even know what I was doing. It's the fear that's pounded into you when you're 16 and 17 from an uncle saying, "What are you gonna do for a living?" And then where I'm from, you have to have a job and you have to make it, otherwise you're gonna be in trouble. So I remember feeling like indulgent to think I want to do it with art. But graphic design was one foot in the pragmatism and one foot in like making cool shit. But it was enough to soothe my parents, or even soothe myself. Like I knew that everyone's going to need newspapers and shit the rest of our lives, whatever you want to call it. So that was kind of fear-based. It was kind of pompous to think that I would have enough talent or art or fine artism to go and make a life with that. I have a couple friends who do it. It's tough. And there's arts to that where they hit it hard in the 90s, and they're having to reinvent themselves now, or whatever, 15 years later. And I've had friends who maintain that, and I've had friends who didn't ever make it. This is fine art we're talking, right? So I don't know, gunning all those years, gunning towards, making a living in this stuff. That's where that started, really.
What would you have said, like when you graduated high school, what would you have said you wanted to do? If someone asked you at 18, what do you want to be?
I mean, it was graphic design. I mean, it was some kind, I wanted to make a living.
But were people...
Well, I wanted to move out west to go snowboard. So we did that. We did that. I mean, that really was 17. I got out of high school at 17. I was a little young for my class. Got out at 17. Would have turned 18 in October of that next year, right? But got out, and my buddies were all moving west. Now, see, my buddies, this wasn't really do I go to school or don't go to school? They didn't even have those opportunities. You just went because you were young, and it was your chance to go. So for me, it was like my mom and dad were just kind of a tug of war, like, you're too young to go. And we can provide 2 years of community college, which was about $4,400, I remember, And I remember like being like one of the first Draplins to even get an associate's degree, this kind of thing. So I didn't go right away. I went at 19. It was so hard to watch all your buddies go out there because, you knew they were experiencing some regional. They all went to Colorado. When it was our turn, like that shit goes. That stuff shifts, And Colorado wasn't all that anymore, right? So we were like, there's no way we're going to Colorado where our buddies are at. We're hearing about people getting in fights out there. We're hearing, this is before the internet, but you're hearing shit, and you're like, we want to go somewhere where no one knows us. That was Oregon, that was Oregon. I didn't know anyone out there, and it was as far as we could go, and I'm just so glad I did it. In the book it says move somewhere wild, but if there's a youngster here on the fence, and I don't know where you go when you're in Georgia, you go to Pensacola, Florida, and you've really made it. Hey, go. But I mean, seriously, a kid will leave the South and goes to LA or goes north to New York or goes, up to Oregon or goes to Austin. Do it. Do it now because you can always come home. Relatively, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't. And whatever it was, the culture, my mom and dad didn't pay for that shit. We paid for it. I think my mom and dad gave me a couple $100 for gas to go out west. Now when you go back and you think like, I moved out west with $1,500. And that was enough to get the winter going, right? Have a season pass, get rent going, and get a pizza job. I had a pizza job 3 days into it, which I worked all winter long. From where we're from in northern Michigan, every kid has a job. Day one, when we got out west, we met all these Western kids who were like, you don't need to have a job. You can go and fill out a form and you get all your heating assistance. Like this, like, it's like food stamps, and we're like, oh, no. I remember one night, these guys were like, you want to go have, a big, communal meal? And we're like, well, what are you talking about? Meet us at this church at 8 o'clock. So we go there. There's about 8 or 9 of us. It's a fucking soup kitchen. And we go in and we sit down, and I remember going, my buddy Chad I grew up with back home, like, this isn't for us. And these dudes are just piling down. They're, kind of like school, this is going to sound bad, but like you're like school cafeteria level kind of grade food, spaghetti and white bread and like, you know what I mean? Like little, like, school food, like stuff, and that's the plate you got, and we're sitting there, and I just said, man, we can't do this. So that night, Chad and I, we washed dishes for the place. After all my buddies got up, went downtown and got beers and bullshit, whatever, this little Bend, Oregon town. We're thinking kids, but we also had a conscience, whatever. And it was like, that's when we ran into like, there's a lot of ways to get away with it. The Midwestern ethic in us, like you have to have a job so you can afford that crappy 2-door car. That 2-door car gets you to maybe Grand Rapids or Detroit, the next big thing in the world for us. And we understood these little hierarchies, but that was pounded into us. All of us had jobs within 6 or 7 days. What the hell was the question? What was the question?
All right. The whole time though, you're dabbling in you're just messing around, right? This is all.
Yeah, this is just.
This is all. This is just you screwing around on like your first computer.
Well, I had a couple. Yeah, that spread definitely not. I would call that the explosion, because really what this signifies is like that pile of stuff on that page and all these photos and things. That's just on my floor in my shop in Portland. There's no studio. There's no sweep. Every now and again, I would have to like. I'd notice a big hot flash in the corner. You know, I've done studio shoots and stuff. So you know how you do it? You just put boxes up in that corner to block the light, right? So that's what all these shots are. Now my two partners would help me, but this explosion, you know, it's like when I went to Alaska in '96, the only way I could get a computer was by saving the money. And I did a whole summer up there washing dishes, and it totally sucked. But I wasn't up there to party or recreate or go outside or that shit that all those happy people do. Happy hikers, right? Happy hikers, like pants zipped down to shorts and Nalgene bottles and all that shit. And fucking nice grows on trees, man, whatever. You know, all happy and healthy and shit. I wasn't up there. I was up there to get a computer. This is the October, November, December of 1996 when I started to be able to go and make shit on a computer. So that's when, you know, you can see, you know, industrial flavored this and that, because that's a reaction to 1996. Who remembers 1996 graphic design? It was all this really highfalutin, really postmodern, postmodern, cerebral, decorative, masturbatory graphic design, and that was in fashion at that time. I mean, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it's because you're young and, you know, I don't know what you're doing on you got an X with some initials and an anchor or some shit on you. I don't know. It's not funny. It's, you know, I'm looking around for T-shirts and shit. That's what's selling, you know. But in 1996, it was this really high fashion, deconstructed, damaged graphic design thing, and you couldn't read a poster. You're like, you know, okay, we're communicators communicating ideas. And this is about, you know, like just destroying that sort of like, you know, as an art gesture. And that just was bullshit. You know, I just knew that that's what, you know, some kid in the grad school is doing. You know, I mean, great, nothing wrong with that. I want to go to grad school someday, you know, but it's like, it just wasn't practical. So my reactions were like looking at things that like my dad could enjoy and I could enjoy. Because I knew I'd be making stuff for that person at some point. You know what I mean? So that's really where I started. You know, it was like, that wasn't like, okay, all my friends, I'm still kind of a teetotaler. A couple times a year I'll have a couple drinks and be howling at the moon, but that's once a year, maybe once every 5 years. But I remember my friends going out all the time and partying down, you know, and I was in my room working, chipping away at that. Lee talks about Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours. Shit, I had no time. People, oh, it's taken me a decade. Fuck that, a whole winter to work, and I got it going. Because I mean, I knew what happened was the first time you make something for fun, your buddy sees it, some other buddy sees it, and you start making something for $50. And that's $50 not at the pizza place I worked at.
All right, so I'm skipping ahead a little bit,
right.
but we got some meaty stuff at the end. Tell me about going out on your own for the first time. So I skipped a lot of stuff in the book, but you had a few gigs, you know, Snowboarder Magazine.
Yeah.
You were in LA. I skipped that whole thing because I didn't want to get you fired up about LA.
Yeah.
But now this is your studio in your basement, right, of your house.
Yeah.
How did you get to the point in time where you're like, I'm literally gonna quit my job and I'm gonna do this on my own?
Well, it was just seeing in an agency environment, which was a cool place, a really cool place. Ping pong and modern chairs, you know, jobs coming in. And I know it sounds cute, but I was impressed by like how cool our shop was. It was like this, you know. And I got to spend. I remember I was like kind of messed with because I said, "Can I use the facilities? You know, can I use the facilities here after hours?" Because we had like all this space to like do screen printing and stuff. You know what I mean? And no one ever did it. They all went home after a big hard day of making client work, and I would stay late and just use Because I didn't have to do it in my apartment. Shit on edges of couches and stuff, I had all this space to use. I would work late for fun, and then when they would want me to work late on a project, I wouldn't go. I would stay. The kids from the West, they had balance and shit. Had to go to Pilates and shit, and they'd leave at 5. And I was like, I'm gunning for a little bit better position here, and I'm going to stay late. But my salary didn't change. Because as a Midwesterner, if they asked you to, you stay. But my salary didn't change. And that's when I met this guy who was a production guy, and he pulled me aside, and he was only would rebuild our catalogs. I would come up with the look and the feel, and I knew how to build all that shit, but they had a guy they hired that you would give the files to. He was a production guy. I remember him saying to me, "You're staying here all late. I leave at 5. How much more are you making than me?" It's about 14 grand a year. But you're working twice as much. So you just remember that, Draplin. You could go do this on your own and make more. But just know this, and I just was like scared by it, and it was like, what are you talking about? Then I met a guy who said, "How much you making here?" It was 65 grand. And he's like, "Okay, your first year you'll clear 100. So when I was 29. That's a lot of money at 29. It's a lot of money at 43. But it was like 65 was already my new pinnacle, It wasn't about the money. It was about like, wait a second, that shit exists? And that's when I went out. So I saved 25 grand. I bought a house. This basement you see here is the basement of the house. Because there, it wasn't like I had to go, if I'm going to go on my own, I had a couple little clients that we had invented, which were guaranteed to be about 30 grand a year between the 2 retainers. And that was enough for my little budget, And that's when I said, all right, I'm going to go try this. That was 2004. And I went out, and the first year on my own, I cleared 200 grand on my own. Because I didn't say no to anything. And now I could work. I mean, we're talking, it was a hot summer, and I worked until 6 and 7 in the morning, and I'd sleep through the hot hours. I'd get up at 4 and start that shit up again. And that summer, I remember I did like 85 grand, because I didn't say no to anything. I knew that I could go and just hit the 65 again. So it's like, that's how you go, I mean, kids ask me all the time, how do you do that? And I'd say, save your money. You have to invent a couple things that are going to be able to, are your clients that you're working for, substantial enough to be able to cover your rent? Because really that's what it came down to. It was like, I made a budget, and I stuck to it, and that hasn't really changed a lot, I don't really, tonight you're wearing the same shit you wore when you were here in January. I keep that shit to a minimum. My little bag, I grab a toothbrush, and I don't even use it all the time, and I grab some deodorants and things, and you go in and whatever, it's not like you know what I mean? But the metaphor there is like, it's this. I have a windbreaker, it's out in the van until that Cabela's windbreaker, that thing was $16 or something, or $26 or whatever. I wrote about it, I can't remember. But it's like, I don't need 10 of them, I need one until it dies. And that's the quality I saw with friends who were doing it differently in Portland. You didn't need a big house, you didn't need a brand new car, you didn't need a big degree, you could have a good little life and not be in the spotlight, but who gives a shit about gold and silver and bronze? It doesn't matter in the end. It's about comfort. And you don't even have to be an agency Draplin. You don't have to be. Being told this and being like, but I was trained to go to school to get the big job, and then these kids who get the big job come to me at these things and say, how do I get out? And I say, you asked for it. Meetings about meetings, emails about emails and shit. And I know I'm seeing heads going like this. That's called being a business person, like a proper business person. There's nothing wrong with that. It just wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me. It was like scary that we'd spend our whole day in meetings. And my account manager, he knew how quick I was. He'd just be like, you can play ping pong all day, I don't give a shit. 3 to 4:59, I need you. All right, I come and knock out the thing, and it's all brinkmanship and strategic, and I'd be like, why did I come in at 9? Why did I come in at 10? I'll come in at 3. I'll work at the house until, you know what I mean? That's when I knew, like, I have more opportunities freelance, and I have fucking around in here for like some award. So I don't know. Yeah. Next question, sir.
All right, next one. You love this stuff. You love design. I mean, there's somewhere in here, I think I put some of your like notebooks where it's like you at dinner, right?
Yeah.
Sketching stuff out. I think that you can't fake the passion, and I have like the Cobra Dogs thing here, which was, you always tell that story around you doing that for free, but you don't care. I mean, you got paid for a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of stuff you didn't get paid for, but you genuinely love this stuff. You're not dialing it in.
Click that one, click forward one. Yep. Because this right here, see, when he's talking about the Cobra Dogs things is like, not everything was meant to be for a paycheck. I had to learn that. But see, this spread right here, there's not one penny made off any of this. This is just making fun of limes, making fun of layer tennis, or my buddy Dale, or my dad turning 67, or going out to the Cove Cabin, or my mom's birthday, or just things in my life. So how do you go through and say, I made a graphic for my website every day for like basically 17 years, pretty much, right? There's no money there. Somewhere a kid bought a t-shirt, and thank you, you know? But I wanted to show this. I wanted to show that it shouldn't only be because that's what your boss asked you to do for your big job, you know? It's like, why can't graphic design just be your hobby? Because that's all it could be when that's all I had. That's all I had. I didn't have a way to make a living with it yet, you know? So it wasn't about this knife to the throat, about creative control, or how come my boss won't let me make this, or Aaron Draplin, how do you get to make what you make? Fucking start making it. That's an answer I said. I just say, go and, you know, who here is freaked out that they don't have the portfolio they want, but yet can't really get a job because, you know, like if you're a student and you don't have the job yet to get the experience to get the stuff for the portfolio, it's a catch-22. Just start making stuff. I'm not saying, you know, listen, right now some turds making something that says, go outside and create or some shit. I know. Adventurers Club or some shit. Listen, great. Great. No. But seriously, I tricked graphic design into hiring me because people could see a daily example of me flexing my little goofy muscles and creating the things I wanted to create. So there's never been this battle of, well, how come I don't get to make the stuff that I see Dana Tamagotchi making, or Justin Hish, or Chip Kidd? You know, well, a lot of those people made that stuff just on their own too, you know? And there's no one who ever says that, you know? I said that in the book, but I love to show this spread because this wasn't something that, I worked my whole set of 30s. It's all documented. It's all on. I went out and took pictures of dead America. Go a couple clicks ahead. This isn't my work. This is cool things I've seen all across America. But the cool part about it is you wouldn't know about it unless you went to a creepy antique mall, or went to the world's longest yard sale, or went to that estate sale. Like, go back one. That's an estate sale. And you see me at that moment, I just going down those stairs, man, because it's like, I don't know what I'm going to find. And go one more. No. We could go on the road together. You could do all the clicking and shit. And I'll tell stories and dance and sing and shit. Anyway, but that kind of stuff, it's valid. It's out there for the taking. And on whatever level, was I kind of like a turd for not monetizing it? Maybe. Smarter people than me have challenged me on that and said, why were you posting these for free when you could have made a book of it? And it was like, because I saw the guys who made the book of it and the thing sucked. This was every day. If anyone who's been here long enough, who's watched me post this shit in 2006, does anyone remember any of that stuff? Okay, Steve, so he would know. There was no money to be made. Now, maybe he bought a shirt because I was forcing it on people and stuff at that time too, but I didn't see a lot of that stuff. I saw that at House Industries.
What does this stuff do for you? Does it inspire you? Does it get you going? Do you open the drawers much and look at this stuff?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
for what? Like you're not feeling it one day?
I'm just reminded that you can go a million different directions, or you can be really, really simple, or you can come in under budget. Who needs 9 colors? You can just use one color effectively. There's lessons to be had out there. There's also horrific shit too. Grad students like to come after me and say shit like, by him championing these old forms, he's condoning the behaviors of times ago. No, I'm not. I'm just looking at this stuff, and it really, that's so hard to read that shit, But it's like, well, I don't want to go back to 1950. My friends could do the same shit I do. Fuck all that. We're getting smarter, We're getting better as America. But graphically, clicks, and clicks, and likes, and shit, whatever. Every day you pull up your little design aggregator, and what are you looking at? Some Star Wars remix poster. Well, that's a real stretch, huh? You guys laugh about it, but you know what I'm talking about. But that's because people dig that stuff. Or, a picture of a perfect little coffee with a leaf in it. Oh, that's a real fun one, huh? Yeah, isn't that cute? Well, great. This, you don't know what you're going to find. I would challenge each person here to go and learn how to look at America. Look at type, things, decisions, restraints, problem solving, how to work with type in a circle. There's nothing cool about any of this. But every guy who had to go get that little serial number off the side of that little, lathe or air pump or something, or boat or something, that's graphic design, but stripped of all pretension. Like just perfect function, and yet it's cool as shit. And it did its job. And that's my favorite kind of graphic design, is when someone wasn't thinking about it. They were just designing or building what worked, right? That's a lot of what I try to do with my work, is to not make it look like I was trying to be the flavor of the month. Even though I know you can dip me in Futura Bold, and here's some Letraset shit from 1977, and blah, 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 blah. But I'm not interested in the stuff that was made in 2006, or 2014. You know what I mean? It's like, every now and again something comes along that punches me in the face that really says, Gotham, you could have used that thing for 100 years. It's good. It's a good communicator, instead of it just being ironic for this minute or this month.
What current brands inspire you?
Oh man.
I know you're inspired by the past a lot, obviously.
Well, yeah.
But what stuff that's recent gets you going?
I don't know. I'm just trying to think of the city of Multnomah County, Oregon. Whoever, you can pay your taxes through your phone. You got to pay. Who has to pay property taxes here? I do. You guys do. I didn't have to fucking lick a stamp. That was really impressive to me. But it's those little moments where that's graphic design and UX thinking and design thinking and efficiencies that everyone gets to enjoy, not just those who can afford it. So listen, I love my laptop. I'm so thankful because it's beautiful. It works. The software is absolutely incredible, and I'm so blown away that I've had a life on beautiful equipment. Just before we came here, when we left Oregon, it would have been October 9th. We left Oregon. When October 7th, I was getting the insurance for my van, and I was in my insurance agent's state-of-the-art studio, and I just floated out of there, just kind of going, I am so thankful to do what I do. Granted, we make good money, but past that, it's fun to go to my studio. My desk is exciting. I don't even have to wear pants. A person doesn't want to be in there. They don't want to be in there. They want to get the hell out of there, And I just, I don't really go to those places a lot, And you're just like, she's asking me questions about what I do and how I do it, and I'm telling her these things, and her eyes are lighting up like she doesn't hear that stuff. She hears businessy things, and she says to me, I'm so proud to insure your van. Good luck to you. Because she heard the whole damn story. I like to talk. But I just was like, man, quit this job and go make insurance cool somewhere. Because what if you did? People would start talking about it. And they'd pay a little bit more. Like a simple card. Simple? You pay a little bit more to have a nice card and a nice interface. Cool. No one gets to complain about Instagram's new logo either. Remember that? Remember that? All you fucking experts all weighing in on it. Remember? When was the last time you paid for Instagram? You haven't paid a penny. There's no complaint about that shit. That's a hell of a service. And by the way, that logo wasn't shat out overnight. Someone thought that thing through. I had a lot of people writing me, and I got people calling me saying, would you weigh in on this? And I was like, it's beautifully crafted. And that wasn't a very cool answer. Aaron Draplin's supposed to say, fuck all that, fuck the establishment. I could have done it better. I would have done it for no money. No. It was beautifully done. And it wasn't like exciting enough for the real reporter. But I'm in the article, one of the articles saying, no, here's why it works. This big, it's this big, whatever, But I can't remember what the question was.
I don't either. What are we looking at here?
That's the shop. That's the shop.
What kind of building is it in?
It's in a building like this. I mean, we have the same exact size ceiling, but it was a big grain building that there's 100 studios, and we have one about this space right here, about this space. Maybe not quite the behind the scenes there, but we have about this space. That's my two partners and I. We've been there 9 years, and there's no receptionist or anyone weighing in on you, for 15-minute increment time sheets or any of that shit. It's us. This exists. I'm not being cute. I'm serious. You can go and you might not make as much as you wanted to, but you could be comfortable. And that's enough of a paycheck after a while. You could just be, I don't know. There's, where I live in Portland, you see a lot of really creative ways of doing business, And then you go down to like a Facebook or a Google or something and you see it so crazy, and new, but crazy, and it's like, no, it can be simple, it's a big mess inside there and stuff, but it's like, it's fairly organized. We ship all the merch out of there and stuff.
So I have that in here somewhere, you guys shipping all the merch, but when he came in January, it's cold, and, obviously he's got all this merch, he got boxes and posters, and he's staying, nearby at a hotel, and you're literally lugging, I think I dropped you off here, you pick up your stuff. Aaron Draplin is lugging a bunch of suitcases and boxes and merch. You don't have a crew, other than Lee.
Oh, isn't she lovely though, huh?
But why is that? You could easily.
Oh, of course, man.
You just don't want to deal with that. That's not your thing.
Do people have a crew, or do people have a staff, or do people have,
Why do you ship out your own stuff?
Well, because I'd rather give the money to Lee. Whatever. Even though we're fighting over it every 19 minutes, but it's like, because it's just tricky to do this stuff. My brand is still growing, and we're trying to maintain that, and she does it very, very well, of course. But I know how to, I don't know. I'm still, when you're a one-man band all that time, it's hard to watch someone else unwrap the posters. Like I know how to do it, and then watch, don't watch the edge. It's just so bad. But it's not about delegating as much as I've tried. I had a kid for a while. His name was Eric Lovejoy. He was my assistant for about a year, and he would do shit like mowing the lawn and shit, because like go to Safeway, get some sandwiches. He was doing all that shit, and then I remember a friend of mine saying, he's bummed he doesn't get to make a lot of graphic design because I know how to make it, and I was just, if he's there, I paid him very well. It's like, just help me get through the day, just help me figure this thing out. If I need you to run to FedEx, I can't go. But without him, I'll do it all. And I'll just know when too much is too much. But the idea that's like sort of surprising that, you have to pay those people, But I my favorite shit growing up was, like, I love Mike Watt, because Mike Watt drove the van, booked the tour, pulled the t-shirts out, sold the t-shirts, played the show, signed the shit, packed the van up and left. And that's Mike Watt, and it kills me when I hear that guy can barely pay his rent. That breaks my heart, in a world of, like, what's the worst goddamn rock and roll thing in America? Kid Rock is the worst. Rock fucking bottom envy going. Kid Rock and all associated Uncle Crackers and all that shit. Oh, they're so stupid. But those guys have more money than they can ever, whatever, And you see someone like that. My favorite bands carried their equipment up on stage. They weren't, you know what I mean? They're in a van. And there's no excuses. There's no whimpering about, like we're tired. I'm 43, I'll never be in a band. But we get to experience it. Because tonight when we get out of here, after the 6.5-hour presentation's done, we're driving 200 miles to Columbia, South Carolina, because they booked the hotel tonight. It's already been paid for. I can't let it go to waste. Someone smarter would say, no, we need it tomorrow night. and we will do it. No, we'll just get some podcasts going, and maybe a couple Chick-fil-A's, Trump supporters. We'll get up there.
How much do you think about your brand?
I don't know. I mean,
how much do you craft it? What's the dirty little secret? How much do you think a lot about?
No. I mean, first of all, I think dirty little secret, like, don't buy anything you can't afford, Don't bet on things that, like, even posters are scary now because it's $250 of something that I might not sell. But, South Dakota is my slowest selling poster, but I give them away too. That's still a good little paycheck too. But I don't know, dirty little secret, I don't know, I'm a terrible person. I have a gnarly bald spot that's always developing. What else? Other secrets? I don't know.
How long do these posters take you to do?
8 to 10.
Do you have
12
Georgia
hours
ones here or no?
What's that?
You don't have Georgia ones here, do you?
They're all packed away. We're shipping from the road where we're out here, which is really tricky.
So each state poster.
44 of the 50.
No, how long does it take?
12 hours, 8 to 10. Sometimes it's 8, 10. Sometimes it's like one flight when you're 6 hours and you can really hammer, But a lot of it's like just digging it out of my archives from all the years of photos, all the old junk I've been looked at, over the years. And then just sort of like celebrating cool shit, stuff that's been redesigned in a good way, And I know that's like, who am I to say, but I love logos, and I love logos that worked a long time ago and still can work today, or I love something that's built today and looks like 2016 but was thought through and works now. It's not about, our word's a weird word, retro. It's not about just dipping it in 19 whatever the hell. Like, there's these guys I just saw the other night, and I'm a fan. They're called Grits. Anyone know who Grits are? Does anyone know who Grits are? Grits Company. Like T-shirts and shit. Now these dudes, they don't look. What?
The crow? The crow mascot?
I don't know. Yeah. But they're like African American dudes, and they're not looking like they look like out of like, I don't know, like 1965 or something. Now, is that retro? But the graphics are killer. The cuts are cool. They look confident. They look, it's theirs. And it's like, I'm really blown away by that. Now, is that retro? Is that like, throwback or throw up or whatever you want to call it? I don't really care because, they're doing some cool things with it, and it's theirs. And that's all it takes for me to be a fan, and I'm going to follow them. I only follow 666 on my Instagram. I'm keeping that shit evil. And when I go follow a Grits, then I got to get rid of some little or shit somewhere, and there's always like a national park or something that goes by the wayside. Some shit, someone who's not my good favor that month.
All right, what else we got here? Shit you collected from the road.
Yeah.
Was this the video that I was going to show right now?
Yeah.
It's such a good video. I'm disappointed with the audio on that.
Well,
but Google it. What is it? America's Fucked.
Why America's
Graphically
Fucked?
designed.
At least graphically.
At least graphically.
I mean, real elegant.
How old were you then? You only have the goatee.
Oh my God, I was 13 years old. No, I was it's like 34.
It was like 10 years ago. Yeah. All right, quick Marin story.
Yep. He is as weird and prickly as you'd ever think. Not really towards us, just in life. And I love how he works shit out on his show. And talks about the mania and the maniacal quality of his mind. But he is kind of that guy, because it's like if I was to say to you, "Hey, how's your family doing, Michael?" And you go, "Well, the little got 3 kids," and you look back at me and I'm on my phone. That's Mark, serious. And then you're like, you want to tell him about your new baby, and you want to tell him about your lady and your Switchyards and shit, and that's how we would exchange when we're talking. But he's really easily distracted by all of that stuff, and it's part of his whole thing, and that's really Marin, and I really kind of like him for that authenticity because we experienced it, But he's just a person who really nailed it. He bared his soul in that podcast, and you could feel it, and that's why it's doing well,
You did the poster just without him even knowing. Right?
No, I did. No. That's usually how this stuff is done. But call me old-fashioned, but I always freak out when someone says, I made the new White Stripes poster, because in my mind, the White Stripes called you. And then you say, okay, here's the price, and we'll give you this many posters, and we can get this many posters for it to sell on our site. That's how, it is like that if you're Rob Jones who makes the White Stripes posters. But it's not like that. If a band's coming through town, I saw the Drive-By Truckers were coming here just in a couple days, and I love that new record. It's incredible. But as a fan, if I make a poster, I would be afraid the band would be bummed, right? But that's kind of how that stuff goes. So this, I put out the tweet, the Twitter, to a couple of his colleagues and said, hey, you guys, vouch for me. You've been on his show. Vouch for me. I want to make him a poster, but I don't know if he'd even get my email. And they vouched for me, and then he calls me, and then when he calls me, I'm thinking, I got the poster, and he says, I like what you do, man. You want to be on the podcast? And that's when you're like, what, me? He has celebrities. Obama. Creepy, derelict comedians and shit. I love what he has on there. Cultural heroes he has on there, and I'm not supposed to be on that shit, so I was just happy making a poster. That's what you see there. But he put me on there, and I freaked out, because I don't know who wants to hear my story, even right this second. I'm serious. This is all icing on the cake. I know that tonight is 262 times I've been able to get up in front of people, 2 of which were with you guys, but that's 262 times that weren't fucking supposed to happen. That's all there is to it. If I never got to do one of these, I would still be making stuff in that room, basement, studio, and still making a good living. Because that was job number 1. That's the cake you bake. How do you pay your rent? How do you get ahead? How do you pay off your school loans? I paid my house off in 2010. I bought a Volvo with cash. I just bought my mom a new car because I didn't want the idea of a 72-year-old taking in a car that's 4 years old and the guy's taking advantage of it. I'm not there to protect her in northern Michigan all the time, you know what I mean? Like, she doesn't need her air changed and her tires stopped, whatever, But I got her a lease, a Jeep Cherokee, and it's beautiful, But even that goes against what Dad would have been saying. No.
Good timing. I want it.
Yeah.
We got to hear 1 or 2 Jim Draplin stories.
God. Where do you want to start?
What are some of your favorites?
Oh my gosh.
Him walking into the shops when he was...
with the underwear. Yeah, I don't have the prop here. Let me see here. Is everyone doing okay? I'm seeing some cheek shifting. When you shift from cheek to cheek. Are we going over? Are we already going over? Let me think about something about my dad that just really illustrates okay. He would drive a minivan, and he'd have a shitty little wreath on the front. And then people would go, oh, look at that little wreath during Christmas time. They go, look at that little wreath on the front. He'd go, Aretha Franklin. That was my dad. You stub your toe, you want me to call a tow truck? All my life. All my life. He's really fun. My dad died 3 years ago. Shit sucks, whatever. October is 3 years. Now, I'm not counting days. I have one sister who is, but my dad was just really cool and really, full of shit and full of life, loved to laugh. He was the kind of dad that remembered your name, sat you down, said, you want a beer, you want a sandwich, you hungry? And then would act on it, and he'd get you a sandwich, and a pickle and shit, and like, these are my friends, Some dads weren't like that. They were like newspaper, they're like, I remember, the guy, did you park in the driveway? Yeah. They said it was finished. Go park in the street. I had to go move my little Skyhawk. That's the best that guy could do. He worked all day. I get it. My dad was really, really cool. So here's a cool story about my dad. Is anyone a hockey fan here? A little bit? Well, the Detroit Red Wings are going to kick your team's ass. No, I don't care about anybody. I don't care. I could care about Tigers. Lions, any of that shit. Hawks, Falcons. I don't care about anybody. I'm not interested. But when I was about 11 years old, my dad took me. He was a big Red Wings fan. He took me to Olympia Stadium, which was being torn down in Detroit. So that's where, all the greats played. that's the original Big Six. Now, I know about hockey enough. We played it when we were kids, and it was all just like kind of punk rock, like let the thing ice over in your corner lot, and that's how we played. Never on an organized team, any of that shit. But I knew about this because I grew up with uncles who right now are wearing a leather Red Wing jacket right this second. The ugliest, whitest K-Swiss you ever saw in your life, right now they're wearing that shit, drinking warm Bud Light in Commerce Township outside of Detroit. Anyway, that's high fashion where I grew up, whatever. So my dad, when I was 10, he said, we were down in Detroit, and he says, we're going to Olympia today, and we're going to go get some shit. So we go down to downtown Detroit, and this thing is coming down in a couple months, and there's fencing around it, and my dad holds the fence, and I shimmy under there. I'm 11 or 10 or something, and I hold the fence, and my dad's rolling around in the, January cold Detroit, snow, underneath the fence, and we break in a door at Olympia. So we're trespassing, number one. And we went all the way in, and we looked, and those dystopian, like Jurassic Parky moments where you see like when the vines take things back and shit's hanging. Well, that's Detroit, and I'm not going to make fun of it, and I'm not going to also hipster it up with like go take pictures of it because people live there, still live there. And I know there's parts in town here that have that too, but we went in there because my dad wanted to go all the way into the locker room. He's on his hands and knees cutting up the carpet in the locker room because he wanted to get carpet from where Gordie Howe's balls dripped. And we got carpet, and I walked out with a big pile of 10, and underneath the fence, we took 200 bricks from a caved-in part of the thing. I remember my dad, near tears. This is where he went and took my mom when they were courting and stuff to see Red Wing games and shit. And I remember him just saying, you're not even going to be able to afford the beer at the new place. This is not for your uncles who can afford this shit. This is for guys who work on cars. Come watch the Red Wings and escape. Now, I remember hearing this shit when I was a little kid. And the rest of my life, my dad would give a brick to a Red Wing fan in a little square. And maybe you were the lucky one to get Gordie Howe's ball-dripped carpet. That's my dad. I don't know. I could go for hours about him. Hours. I won't.
All right.
He's missed. Hard. We're saving a lot on groceries. We are saving a lot on groceries.
Last page of the
Look, so the biggest thing that I think is impressive about the book is you put yourself out there. You put your whole story out there. You're pretty vulnerable in the book, right? Like I think it's vulnerable telling your story, nonetheless having a hardcover book about your whole story, every single detail. So appreciate you telling your story. I think we're over time.
Is that it?
Do you have any more jokes?
Jokes? Oh, I could tell one of my dad's greatest jokes.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Michael, how do you sell a deaf guy a chicken?
Yeah.
Want to buy a chicken? The next joke up tonight is my dad. My dad was really funny. He that was one of his greatest. He opened up a couple of my shows because I've been doing this 4 or 5 years, and we lost him 3 years ago. He would come and he would open the shows and he would tell jokes to the crowd like this. So it's all creative people, and my dad knows how to command the room at a tool shop with dudes who have things on their ankles because they can't leave, they can only go to work and stuff. So my dad knows how to handle those guys with the jokes and the bullshit and stuff. So to get in front of a group of graphic designers and creatives and thinkers and makers and startup people and shit, he just knew, like he's a mess with them. So one of his jokes he told us, he got there, and I'm like, what are you gonna say? Don't say anything stupid, asshole. These people are buying shit. And he's like, I got it. Now we're in Seattle. So my dad, he gets up there and he says, what's the difference? You guys are, group of graphic designers and artists and things, and you guys, I see Aaron with the Pantone books, the chips and stuff, and you guys will get this. This is kind of a color theory joke, I think it is. And here it goes, what's the difference between pink and purple? The grip. And the whole crowd. And then he goes to his, I'm going to tell the other joke because while we're all here and we're all alive, he says, okay, I'm sorry. It was a joke about, color. You guys all work with color all day long. Okay. He says, these two cowboys roll into town. My mom's on the side of the stage just going, she's heard this joke for 44 years. And he says, these two cowboys go into town, and I remember him saying, like horses, they pull up to the saloon, and one guy jumps off the horse and ties his horse and runs up to the saloon door that's swinging, and the other guy jumps off his horse and ties up his horse, and he runs around to the back of the horse. The other guy looks back from the saloon door and he goes, what are you doing? He goes around the back of the horse, and he lifts the horse's tail, and he finds the horse's asshole, and he just goes, kisses the horse right on its asshole. The other cowboy goes, what are you doing? And the cowboy goes, it was a long, hot ride and a long, hot day. I've got chapped lips. That keeps me from licking my lips. That's the other joke he told that night. When I go home now, I go to this UPS to ship stuff, special things or big orders of posters or whatever. If I have to ship 50 to you guys, that's what it would be. I go to the UPS in northern Michigan, and the woman knows my name from when I fill the stuff out, and she says, oh, Aaron, your dad. Oh, yeah. And there's a lot of stories from northern Michigan where he's from like this. But the story was, when he would go in to ship us shit out west, because my dad could make amazing care packages, with goodies that he found for us, because he would he wouldn't tell my mom, but he would hit all these junk stores and shit on his route as a salesman, and then just smuggle it in, And my mom never told him that every week she was taking a couple boxes of shit off the top of things, right back out. That which comes from the ocean eventually goes back to it, okay? The cycle of life. So that was the balance they had struck. Well, he would send us these care packages, and when he would go in to Carol, who worked at the UPS, he would make sure there was a line. And he would go in and he'd be there filling out the paperwork all loud. He would say, hey, Carol, are there 2 J's in marijuana? And the people in line, and she came to my dad's funeral, cried her eyes out, That's the shit. Like, he's known for that. He's known for when you see on a telephone pole, there's the wire that comes down. My dad would lay on that. He's 340 pounds. He'd lay on that wire and go. And then kids would walk by in our neighborhood and he'd jump out. Boom! Well, thanks for coming, you guys.